Okay, so you know how we're always digging into these interesting career paths? Well, this time you sent over this RoleCatcher report about clothing development managers. And wow, did this one pique my interest. Turns out there's a lot more to it than just, knowing your fabrics.
Oh, yeah, you could say that again. I mean, it's definitely not just about sketching pretty dresses or anything.
Right, like the report even mentioned analyzing and its scientific findings. And I thought, are we talking lab coats and beakers in the fashion world now?
Yeah.
What does science even have to do with this?
Well, maybe not lab coats, but they definitely need some serious scientific know-how. Think about it. They've got to understand how different fabrics behave, how durable they are, how they drape, how they take on dye, all that stuff. That's textile science. And they might even be looking into new sustainable materials, those cutting-edge production processes, stuff like that.
Huh. Okay, so that's way more technical than I initially thought. So it's like this role bridges that gap between like the creative vision, the design, and then actually making it a reality in manufacturing.
You got it. They make those big decisions from the drawing board to the production line, and they need that deep understanding of the art side and the tech side.
Okay, so we're talking more than just a keen eye for fashion. This requires some serious brains too.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This RoleCatcher report goes into their day-to-day, and let me tell you, it sounds like a whirlwind.
So this role catcher report, it's like a day in the life of a clothing development manager. And it seems like there's no typical day, really.
You can say that again. One day they're at their desk, next they're on the factory floor, and then, get this, they might be jetting off to visit some supplier, like across the world.
Wait, hold on. Planes, they travel a lot. I mean, the report mentioned travel, but why is that so crucial, for someone in this role?
Well, think about it. Fashion's global, right? You might be designing in, say, New York, but the fabric's from Italy, the buttons are from Japan, and it's all being made, I don't know, somewhere in Southeast Asia.
So they're the ones who make sure everything runs smoothly from start to finish.
Yeah, they're the ones on the ground, building relationships, fixing problems, making sure the quality is up to par. It's a lot of understanding different cultures, how business is done in different places. It's a whole thing.
Right, so it's not like you can just send emails for all that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so globe-trotting textile experts, but that's not even all. The report also mentioned all this collaboration, marketing, sales, R&D, you name it. It's like they're like a conductor leading an orchestra or something, making sure everyone's in sync.
That's a good way to put it. They're the link between all these different departments, and that takes serious people skills. They've got to take the creative vision, put it into instructions for the production team, manage what the sales team expects, keep marketing updated on trends, a lot of juggling.
So on top of everything else, they got to be master communicators. This is sounding more and more intense.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not a job for just anyone. And speaking of skills, this report mentioned something else I thought was interesting. It said proficiency in CAD software and product design software.
Oh yeah, I was wondering about that. So it's not all fabric swatches and mood boards anymore, huh?
Nope. These clothing development managers, they need tech skills too nowadays. They use CAD software that's computer-aided design, by the way, to make those detailed sketches and technical drawings. And then they've got product design software to like visualize and fine-tune the whole product life cycle.
So there's this whole other layer of expertise on top of everything else. Okay, so we're talking about someone who's creative, technically skilled, great with people.
Mm.
No wonder the report made it seem so demanding.
You're getting it. But you know what? It's not all just stress and deadlines. The RoleCatcher report, it also highlighted some of the perks of this kind of job, and been pretty awesome.
So it sounds like being a clothing development manager, it's not exactly a walk in the park. But honestly, the toughest jobs, those are the ones that usually give you the most, right? So what did the RoleCatcher report say about like the good stuff, the perks of this career?
Yeah, for sure. It's not all, stress and chaos. The report, it actually highlighted some pretty great perks. Like, for one, you're right there at the forefront of fashion. You see trends as they pop up. You have a say in what people are going to be wearing. Pretty cool, huh?
That's got to be amazing, seeing your ideas like
Yeah.
actually on the racks in stores. What else did the report say?
Well, there's the variety. I mean, one day you're elbow deep in fabric samples. The next you're on a video call with, like, a factory manager halfway around the world. And a lot of people, they're really drawn to the problem-solving aspect. Every day there's a new challenge, something to figure out.
Okay, I see what you mean. That does sound pretty engaging. But let's be real. The report didn't shy away from the tough stuff, the pressure, the deadlines, and, oh boy, dealing with those big personalities.
Well, absolutely. It reminds me of this one time we were launching this new line, performance wear, and the fabric, the one we were counting on, it turns out there were production issues. Like, Weeks before the launch, can you imagine? We had to scramble to find a new supplier, redo the contracts, the whole timeline, and the whole time we're keeping everyone in the loop, from the marketing team to the CEO. It was.
Intense. That's putting it mildly. That must have taken some serious negotiation skills to get through all that.
Oh, it definitely pushed me to my limits. But
Yeah.
you know what? Those are the times you really learn, you know? You have to be able to adapt, be resourceful, and this is key. Stay calm under pressure.
So a little bit of resilience goes a long way in this field.
Big time. And the report, it actually talks about how those skills, they become even more important as you move up, climb that career ladder. It talked about the different levels, assistant, manager, senior manager, and basically the higher you go, the more responsibility and the higher the stakes get.
So let's say someone's listening right now and they're thinking, this is it. This is my dream job. What are some concrete things they can do, like, to actually get there?
Well, the report had a whole section called Advancement Paths, and it had some really solid advice. It really stressed continuous learning, even if you already have, say, a design background, brushing up on things like merchandising, production, even marketing that can give you a leg up.
And it's not just formal education, right? The report mentioned transferable skills, like, say, if you're a pattern maker or even a process control technician.
Exactly. Like with pattern making, you've got that firsthand knowledge of how clothes are put together, the fabrics, the fit. Those are super valuable skills for a clothing development manager.
It's all about, like, connecting the dots, seeing how what you already know can apply to this new path.
Right. And that's where having really in-depth info about the industry, it can make all the difference. Remember how RoleCatcher mentioned that 9 million employer record database?
Oh, yeah, that thing is like a treasure trove. Imagine seeing not just job postings, but like actual career paths within different companies. You can see what skills they're looking for, what the salaries are like, you even get a sense of the company culture.
I know, right? It's like getting a peek behind the curtain, seeing how it all works.
Talk about a deep dive. We should do a whole other deep dive just on that resource sometime. But for today, let's leave our listeners with the clothing development manager role. It's demanding, it's fast-paced, but it's also incredibly rewarding, especially if you're passionate about the world of fashion. And like we learned today, it's way more than just meets the eye. So if you're up for a challenge, go for it. You never know, you might be the one calling the shots on the next big fashion trend.